Hallo und willkommen. Ich bin Meister Lehns and you're watching Get Germanized Your Secrets, Episode 2.
I am bored. What should I do?
Ich weiß.
Get Germanized.
In this series, you tell me your darkest, most mysterious secrets on Instagram with the questions function that exists on there. And you did this before and you guys seem to have enjoyed this video. I'm gonna react once again to your secrets without naming any names, of course, anonymously. So you get a reaction from someone and you get it off your chest at the same time. Does it sound good? Yeah? Alright, then add me on Instagram if you want to participate in the next episode of Your Secrets. I have a program planned to increase the German population. Oh man, we're starting off with a really weird one. Either this is a troll or someone who's really concerned about the German population. It is true, birth rates are decreasing, but only because people are getting smarter and not like doing it like rabbits all the time without having the sufficient funds to support their children. So, I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's too many people in the world anyway. So, well, I'm not sure if this is a true comment or a secret or not, but yeah. Next up, I plan on having dogs/cats in my life, not kids. Well, I mean, that's a fair choice, right? Many people call their dogs and cats their children. I mean, I think personally it's a bit odd, but I don't necessarily need children in my life either. At least I can't see that right now. Maybe one day if I find the right partner for it that is also comfortable with having children or really wants children, I'm like, well, yeah, maybe, but so far it's just dogs in my life as well, and that is completely fine. I like dogs a lot, and I think it's fine if you prefer animals to having children. What I don't necessarily love is when people really treat their animals like children, you know, put them clothes on and then put them in the little, what's it called, the stroller and stuff like that. And then really act as if that is your biological child. That's a tiny bit eccentric, I would say. I wouldn't do that, but yeah, if you like animals, have them. Next up, a comment saying, I don't have a belly button. Is that true? Can that happen? I have never heard about that mutation actually, but I mean, I could imagine if it like grows shut or something like that after you cut off the cord, basically. But why would it? I have to look that up. That's an interesting fact here, if that's not a lie. Next up, I have a crush on a close friend of mine and I think she likes me too. Well, only one way to find out, my friend. You will have to confront her. Maybe not, I don't know, in public, in front of other people, obviously, but I would say definitely take a chance and tell her, because you will just ask yourself the question, what if I had told her, for the rest of your life if you don't. So yeah, I would definitely encourage you to try at least to maybe hint towards those things, you know, maybe not say it outright right away if you don't feel comfortable, but hint towards it. Maybe ask her out on a date, just the two of you, or yeah, maybe ask her if she wants to hang out, watch a movie or something like that, and then try to get closer, not creepily, but just, you know, nicely, normally. Next up, on the train, I imagine that a German guy who helped me at Berlin Hauptbahnhof, so the main train station, in cold February night 2014, sit next to me. So you sit there and you imagine that person that you met randomly sits next to you because you liked him apparently. So that is kind of cute. That's cute. It's a shame because, you know, when we meet people we really like, we often don't have the courage to actually approach them or you know, ask them for their number or whatever, or keep in contact with them. I don't know why that is. It's a problem for me too. If I meet someone in public that I think is cute, then I mostly just don't do anything. I don't know. Maybe that's a German problem as well. I've heard German men don't really do that. I don't know why. I really don't. Next up, yesterday I turned 17. Not necessarily a secret, I don't think, unless you always said that you are 25 already or something like that. But happy birthday. I guess that's what you wanted, hey? Next up, I'm in love with this German guy I've been talking to for almost 2 years and I've never admitted it. I mean, if you just talk over the internet, for example, right, then what's the harm? What's the worst that can happen? It's just an internet friend. I think it will be fine. And if it's someone you know in real life, as I mentioned before, you should always take a chance, you know, because something beautiful could come from it. And maybe it doesn't, but that doesn't also necessarily mean that your friendship will be destroyed just because you admitted your feelings. It will maybe make it awkward for a little bit, but isn't that, you know, a risk worth taking for a possible happy future with that person? I would think so. Next up, I start singing your intro song in random places. I once even sang it a bit too loud in maths in school. I can just imagine. You're like super bored, like math class, like, oh, what is this life? And then you're like, I am bored. What can I do? Oh yeah, that is funny. I like it. I like it. Next up, I suffer from ASD. Well, that is autism spectrum disorder, right? Like Asperger's and, well, autism. Well, like I mentioned in other videos before, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with it as long as it doesn't hurt you or others too much. I mean, no one should suffer from anything, obviously, but I also believe that it shouldn't be looked down upon if someone has like a mental problem of any sorts. As long as that person, like I said, doesn't harm others and tries to get better. I'm not sure how possible that is with something like autism or Asperger's or anything like that, because I'm not a specialist. I don't know much about these disorders, but I think I have heard of cases where they have increased their quality of life at least, right? And their social interaction maybe, or their capability to interact socially. So, yeah, like I said, I wish you all the best. Don't think there's anything wrong with this. I mean, obviously there's something wrong, but you know what I mean, right? Wish you all the best and hope you live your life to the fullest, even with ASD. Next up, I said I love you too a few times, but I've never felt it. Well, we're all guilty of that, I believe. Well, at least back in the day I did this. But I've stopped doing that a long time ago because it just leads nowhere. Because if you don't really feel it for someone, you're not going to stay with them in the long term. And why make them believe that you do? It just will make the fall and the end of the relationship so much harder for both of you if you lie to each other in that way, right? For example, like a couple of years ago, a girl, after I have dated her, only a couple of weeks, I think it was, she also already told me that she loved me, and I was like, oh, like some weird reaction because I was surprised, caught off guard, but I didn't say it back because that's just crazy, I think at least. I mean, some people might say, oh, but I do love him like a day, like after a day. It's good for you. It usually doesn't happen to me though, so. I don't know, I don't think it will happen that fast to most people. Like real love that goes beyond infatuation and physical attraction, beyond the honeymoon phase. Anything that goes beyond that, I think something that develops out of the honeymoon phase and physical attraction, that can be called love at some point, but not the being in love that you feel at first. And I don't think you should call it love. Next up, I hate my country, Chile. Oh, Chile? I've never felt any attachment to it and I will leave as soon as I can. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know much about the living conditions in Chile at the moment. But I understand that many people dislike their own country, maybe because they think it's going to be better in other countries, or maybe they know it's going to be a better quality of life in other countries and more chances to progress as an individual. And yeah, that is completely fine. If you feel that way, then you feel that way. No one can tell you differently. Some people might love your country, right? Some people might be very patriotic and feel hurt if other people say that it's not a good country. But if you feel that way, you're more than entitled to it. So yeah, live your life as you want it. Next up, I've sent nudes before. Well, yeah, that's a difficult thing on the internet these days, or dangerous thing, I should say, because I mean, they could end up anywhere on some weird revenge porn sites after you break up with someone, and you shouldn't really do that, I don't think. Don't trust anyone that much, you know, especially if you just met them on the internet or whatever. Maybe if you have been in a real life relationship with someone for a while, then I think it's fine. The risk there is definitely lower. But if you just, you know, message someone on the internet, it's pretty risky to do that if you don't know the person at all, right? If you don't know if it's a good person at the other end, or if they just want to, you know, satisfy their urges really quickly and then, you know, discard you, because that happens. And yeah, whenever someone asked me to send nudes in the past, I've always sent them like random pictures from Google. Maybe you should consider that too. Next up, I haven't felt the feeling of falling in love for many years. Yeah, me neither. I think it's something that can happen if you, well, have made a really bad experience and you just kind of close yourself in, you become more careful. Not necessarily a bad thing, but I also had to get over that and had to open myself up a bit more again, because otherwise you will miss out on many chances to meet cool people, even if nothing romantic comes out of it, right? But yeah, definitely try to live your life again and don't, you know, become cynical or bitter. That is the worst that can happen, really, out of these circumstances. Next up, I want to move, change my name and open a bookstore. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I don't know why you would change your name. Maybe you have some bad history with like people, bullying maybe, or something like that. Or a really weird stalker, that could be the reason why, right? But yeah, other than that, I think it's a beautiful dream. Books are amazing. Having your own bookstore, if you're really in love with books, then that is great. That's fantastic. Go for it. Next up, I signed up for a Taekwondo camp last year and found out it was, I was the only one in it, so I stopped going. Well, yeah, to be honest, that would have been a bit odd, right? A whole camp with like lots of activities and you're like the only one participating. Yeah, I can't imagine that would have been strange. Maybe it would have been cool though, you never know. Maybe you would have learned so much because you were like the only student. And even I think if one student applies to such things, I mean, some might not do it then, like the organizers, but others might say, hey, you know, they paid for it, we're just gonna do it with that one person. So it might have been a cool opportunity, might have been weird, you never know unless you try. Next up, I think I'm reincarnated from two famous historical people. Like who? And that is really interesting. What made you think that, I wonder? I've heard this before, that people believe for some reason they're reincarnated, but I always get suspicious if it's two famous people, right? How is it even possible? Or do you mean like you've been reincarnated multiple times and you always were famous? I mean, maybe. I don't know how likely it is, but maybe. I would be really interested to hear why you think that and what the telltale signs are for you, you know? Let me know, maybe here on Instagram. Next up, another secret, that you are my platonic love. Seriously, and I'm married. Oh, that's, well, I feel bad for your husband or wife here, but thank you. It's very kind of you to say. That's very nice. I feel humbled and flattered. Thank you. Next up, I liked a girl so much that I couldn't stop thinking about her even after 6 years. She is from Hamm. Yeah, I have been there, like in an obsessive behavioral kind of phase, especially after your mind gets messed with badly by events in life, right? Romantic breakups or other things, you can get to a bad place, and that it's not healthy at all. So yeah, I would try to move on, because it doesn't sound like it's healthy, because 6 years, I mean, the chances are slim, right? Not impossible, of course, but slim that something's gonna happen with that person. So I would try to get over it, because it will just stop you from finding a new person or new whatever you're looking for, right? And it will close you off from many opportunities, because you just feel like you don't want anyone else, right? But that's bullshit. There's so many cool people out there, and you can't just focus on that one person. But if you really think that is the one for you and you cannot think of anyone else ever again, then who am I to say that that's wrong, you know? But it's just my advice. Next up, I don't actually like acting. I only do it for the attention. Well, that's the problem with many things. Like, many people are just in a band because they think they get girls or guys with that, right? Because it's cool. Many people just learn the guitar because they think they're gonna get girls or guys with that. So I think that's definitely the wrong reason. I mean, it can be, you know, maybe you find enjoyment in it later, but you say that you really don't like it and you still just do it for the attention. I don't necessarily think that's healthy, because people will notice, I think, at some point that you really don't like it. And maybe that also means that you're not really good at it if you don't like it, because often that shows. If someone really hates what he's doing or she's doing, then it just shines through, right? And people notice, and they're like, that person, I'm not sure what to think about that one, because he obviously hates what he does. But maybe you're really good at it regardless. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the details here. But I would always suggest do something that you love and not for the attention. Because many people these days treat attention like a drug, right? Who am I to talk? I'm on YouTube. But attention can be a drug for many people. They need the improvement of others, and they need to know what others think about them constantly, and that is so unhealthy. You don't even know. Just if we were to cut ourselves off from social media for a while, I think it would be more apparent how much our thoughts revolve around all of this. And it is my job, that's why I do it, even more than other people, I believe, like on social media. But I know how bad it can be for you to pay too much attention to all of this. Next up, I had my first kisses at the age 12. I feel weird about it. I don't know, I mean, I guess 12 is relatively early, depends on whom you had that first kiss with. If it was like an old guy, then yeah, that's not okay. I mean, on his part, you were just a child at the time. You're not the one to blame here if that was the case. If not, then obviously if it was just someone who was like, I don't know, 1 or 2 years older than you, no harm done, I don't think. That's completely fine. Kids experiment with these kind of things even earlier on. So yeah, again, I don't see any problem with that. Many people have their kisses early, some people have them later, or many people have them later, whatever. It doesn't really matter. You do it, you do you. You do what you feel comfortable with. And if you feel weird about it, and maybe it was a weird situation, maybe, I don't know, talk to someone about it. That's it with the second episode of Your Secrets. If you want to participate in the next one, like I said, add me on Instagram, Meisterlehnsherr, same name as my YouTube channel name. And follow me on my other social media, linked in the video description. Consider supporting the channel by becoming a channel member. Click the join button next to the subscription button if you want to do that. Or maybe you want to become a patron on patreon.com/getgermanized, or you want to donate, tip me through PayPal. All linked in the video description. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to get Germanized. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.